What's going on YouTube? Welcome to WestysAngling. Joining me in the tackle room today for the first episode in a new video series on the channel. And if you haven't already guessed by the title and by some of the gear that's laid out on my desk here, it's going to be all about fly fishing. Today's video in particular is going to be about some of the gear that you'll need for your first fly fishing session, as well as some of the reasons behind why I'm making this video series and so on and so forth. So without further ado, folks, let's get into the video. So you might be wondering why I'm starting this new video series, and I get that it's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to be interested in fly fishing, but it's something that I want to learn. The reason that fly fishing appeals to me is I like the idea of finding little streams with trout in, trying something that is definitely challenging. And I'm the type of person, folks, if I don't know how to do something, then I'll learn myself. I'll either go on YouTube, watch YouTube videos how to do stuff, just like I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing, and probably the reason why some of you are watching this video right now. But I like to learn myself, and I learn by getting out there and actually doing things. I don't want to go to a fly fishing tutorial session or anything like that. I want to get out there with a rod and line, make mistakes, and I want you guys to be along with me for those mistakes. And this whole series is going to be me building up that fly fishing skill. I've never cast a fly before in my life, so this is a new experience for me, and I'm sure that it'll be entertaining to watch on the channel. So I've been out and I've bought a few bits of gear here. I've got myself a fly rod and reel. Now I've gone with a Graze fly rod and reel, one for the cost. This is a beginner kit. The name of this particular fly rod is a K4ST. I'm not even taking it out of the packet yet. That's how new it is. And this is the entry level fly rod in this series. They do a couple of different types and a couple of different lengths of rod. This is the shortest rod that they do and also the cheapest. The reason that I wanted a short rod is because I'm going to be mostly targeting little streams, like I said, to start off with. I think that's the best thing I'm going to be able to do to start fly fishing. So I'm going to talk you through all this gear today, and then the next episode is obviously going to be us setting up this gear and practicing casting. I've got myself some new waders, and we're going to put these on in a second and see how they fit. I'm sure they'll be fine. I do already have some waders, which I've got down here. So these are my current waders, folks, which I use for some river sessions, carping, catfish, that kind of thing. They're just not comfortable enough to be wearing all day and wading out into water in. I'm sure they'll be fine, but they get really uncomfortable towards the end of the day. So I've gone out, splashed out on some new waders. As you probably know, if you follow the channel, I love Daiwa products. So I've gone for some Daiwa hybrid chest waders. They're a little bit more flexible than my other waders, obviously because of the neoprene, and they're going to allow me to bend and move. And also they've got this pocket up here, external pocket for you to store things in. So that's the reason why I've upgraded on the waders. So we'll get these waders on in a minute, and I'll let you have a look and a laugh at what I look like in those. But before we get into that, and before we start talking about the flies and the terminal tackle that you're going to need, let's talk a little bit more about this rod and reel combination that I've gone for. So the K4ST, as I've said to you, comes in loads of different variations. There's a K4ST-X, which is a slightly upper model to this. There's a K4XT Plus. So they're all good for different things. It depends what skill level you are as an angler. I've just gone for the cheapest beginner kit and also the shortest rod. So this rod's 8 foot because we're mainly going to be targeting small streams and rivers, as I've said, and we're not going to be really doing much still water fishing with it. So it doesn't need to cast very far. I'm going to be able to fish from the bank or in the river itself, and these are going to be fine. Now, the fly reel that it comes with, and we're going to unbox this and we're going to have a proper look at it, but the fly reel that it comes with actually has all the fly line already on it. So it's a fully set up kit, and it's a lightweight construction rod, so you're going to be able to use that all day and your arm's not going to get knackered or anything like that. It's a 4-section medium action rod, and it's got a cork handle. Really great beginner's kit. I think this cost me about 80 quid, but I got it as a set with some flies and also with the tapered leaders. which brings me on perfectly to these. This is something that you're definitely going to need if you're going fly fishing. Now, when you've threaded the fly line through all the rod rings, and obviously it's really thick so you can see where you're casting, and it's got the weight to cast in the fly line, you need to put a tapered leader on the end. So this goes loop to loop with your fly line, really easy, and you just tie your fly onto the end of these tapered leaders. They do them in multiple weights and line thicknesses, but they start off thicker and they go thinner towards the tip, the end where you tie the fly on. And the reason that they taper down is so that the fly flicks out correctly when you're casting. So that's why you need a tapered leader. So I've got 3 or 4 packs of them in a couple of different sizes, but I think £6 probably ideal. What I've also got, folks, is a little folding fly net. This is great for when you're actually in the river itself. That just locks into position, and it's just a little scoop net, and it's extendable as well. So that's the net that I've gone for. And obviously it's got stuff so you can clip it to yourself. I've got some pliers and I've got some scissors that also clip to my vest as well. So they're the couple of little bits that I've not got with me here, but that's pretty much all you need, folks. You don't need to go overboard. Good set of waders, good net, fly rod, tapered leader, and some flies. So as we learn more about fly fishing and as we learn more about flies themselves, I'll go through these in more detail. But for this first episode, all you need to know is that I've got a selection of flies. I've got some river flies, I've got some wet flies, I've got some dry flies, and a few other bits. That's what I've bought, and I've got myself a little fly fishing case. Right, folks, let's put these waders on. And there we go, folks. Just like that, I've transformed into a fly fisherman now. I don't know whether I'll be wearing this hat on the bank, but let's have a closer look at these waders. Get this chair out of the way. Now, I'm going to get these off as soon as possible because it is absolutely hot as Satan's balls in here today and I am sweating already. Well, there you go, Daiwa chest waders. A little bit tight around the old rugby thighs, but other than that, they're a good fit. These are a size 9. Obviously, you just go for your shoe size, but yeah, nice and flexible. You can bend down in them on the bank, no problem. Obviously, you've got your Daiwa emblem on the neoprene, and obviously the neoprene in the legs makes them thermal, but it also makes them really flexible as well. You want to be able to maneuver up and down banks, whatever. Well, I'm going to get these off, folks, and then we'll have a little bit of a closer look at the Gray's K4ST rod. We'll get it unboxed and we'll see what it looks like. But on a serious note, before we unbox the rod, I do recommend getting yourself one of these cheap fly fishing jackets as well, just because of all the pockets and access that you've got. Obviously, when you're out on the bank and you're fly fishing, you want to have access to your flies, you want to have access to unhooking pliers, you want to have access to scissors, whatever you're going to need, you need to have it on you because you don't want to be trailing back to the bank, disturbing the water, potentially spooking the fish. You want to have everything on you so you can just concentrate on the fishing. So let's get that off because it is boiling in here. So behind the scenes, I have opened this literally about 5 minutes ago just to make sure that everything was in it and to get familiar with it. So the KS4T does come with a hard case, and the entry level model, which is this one, as I've said, there's a little fly reel, comes in this great steel grey colour. I think the higher models are like a blue coloured blank, but I like the look of the grey. I think it's classy. Obviously, you get the cork handle there. Even this plastic reel has a metal reel seat there. And you have a really high quality Gray's metal rod butt there, which is obviously going to take all the pressure. Now, I can't explain to you how light this rod is. You could hold this all day and not even think about it. The one thing that I did notice is this even comes with the tapered leader. You can see how fine that is towards the end there, that line. And it's getting thicker, thicker, thicker. And it's just knotted there onto your fly line, which has obviously got the weight for casting out, and it's going to really catapult that line out. Now, as you can see, that's all coiled, so to straighten it out with any kind of line, just run it through your fingers, get the heat of your hand through that line, and it'll get all of those curls out. We're not targeting big fish here. It's just going to be small river trout and maybe even grayling, and you can adjust the drag on this reel as well on the side there slightly. So let's get this packed away. That was just a little bit of a teaser. Obviously the full setup is coming in the next video. So if you aren't already subscribed to the channel and you want to follow along with me learning how to fly fish and this series, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. I really recommend that rod so far. I'm really eager to get out on the bank and give it a good go and cast a couple of flies around. Maybe not catch any fish, but definitely cast some flies around. And I just want to say that's a very secure hard case as well. That ain't getting broken. And last but not least, let's have a closer look at some of these flies. Okay, folks, so some of the things that I've learned about flies so far. Obviously, you have your wet flies, which sink. You have your river flies, which are made to look like river insects. So I've just labelled these up here, river on the bottom, wet on the top. And I've also got dry flies, which are obviously made to go on the surface and mimic floating insects. Obviously, you've got some insects here. You've got some that look like mayflies. You've got some that look like midges. You've got some that look like stoneflies. And I believe that the trick is to try and match the fly with whatever you're seeing on the bank at that time that you're fishing. So the idea is you go down to the bank first, you see if you can see any insects, you see what's hatching out, and you try and match the hatch. That's the idea anyway. So that's my flies. I've got some there that are imitation bread as well, in case we wanted to try for maybe a carp or something like that off the top eventually. But we're going to start out and try and fish for some little river trout. That's about as limited as my knowledge goes, but we've got the basics there. So I hope you've enjoyed that brief overview of some of the gear that you're going to need for your first fly fishing session, and I hope the video was helpful. And I also hope that you're going to enjoy learning along with me throughout this series, and hopefully eventually we catch a couple of trout on the fly. That is the ultimate goal. But the next video is going to be all about setting up the fly rod and actually casting. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching. Like I said to you before, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode in this video series, and we'll see you in the next Westys Angling.